So today I'm joined by Mr. Ravi Chaudhry, who's the founder of CNext Consulting and the former shareholder of Tata Group of Companies. Welcome to ETV Bharat, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, sir. So we're going to talk about your new book, Capitalism to Peopleism. So, sir, first of all, what was the thought behind behind penning this book, sir?
Well, I wrote this book for each of us and all of us. It's about the world we live in. We didn't create the world. We didn't make the rules. And yet, we have to face much of what we don't like. Doesn't matter whether we are well off or not. Very few of us are really happy. And this book studies that aspect and aims at achievable mission, or why not having most of the people in every nation really happy? And that's what the book is about.
So, given the challenges we face today globally, such as climate change, economic inequality, and the geopolitical tensions as well, so do you believe world leaders are navigating these issues effectively? Or what signs do you see that indicate they are on the right track or not?
Well, that's a great question to start with. It doesn't need much analysis to realize that in most of the world, the ways of doing business and governing nations are now dysfunctional. We have more wealth and more advanced technologies than ever before, yet 70% of the global population holds only 3% of the wealth. This is not just inequality. It is an economic apartheid, a systemic suppression of human flourishing on a global scale. We treat nature as an expendable resource and plunder it for short-term greed. It's not just indifference. It is perhaps the humanity's greatest self-inflicted wound that we are all suffering. This book is a study of the relationship between the people who lead and the people who are led. The quality of conversation determines the quality of relationship between any two human entities. We find that this conversation between those who lead and those who are led doesn't exist. And that is the root of all the problems. This is not sustainable. Things have to change sooner rather than later.
In the fifth chapter of your book, I have seen that you outlined the 5 stages of economic progression. Could you walk us through these stages and explain how our past experiences can inform our present and the future decisions? And what lessons can we draw from the history to create better world today?
Well, I'll try and give a short answer because I have 2 chapters on it. The panoramic arc of history is a story of civilization and how humans progressed and regressed over the centuries. Stage 1 was hunter-gatherers economy. Homo sapiens appeared 300,000 years ago, and since then we have had Stone Age, 95% of recorded history. This is when the skill of speech evolved, fire was discovered, and tools were being made. 12,000 years ago, humans domesticated animals like goats and sheep, identified seeds which could be sowed, and we had food and meat on demand. This was transition to stage 2, agricultural economy. The concept of home took shape. The foundations of society were laid. In the 13th century, the scientific inventions started coming. Spectacles, gunpowder, printing press, the steam engine, to name a few, and that started the industrial economy. This enabled owners of machinery and commerce to become the new elite who initiated capitalism, followed by imperialism, and then wars to annex new markets. And then revolutions came from such wars. The experiment of socialism in Russia was a corollary of the Industrial Revolution. The masses felt they were being exploited. Then internet and personal computers came in 1970s, and we started the third transformation to information economy. As quantum of information exploded, it became a challenge to process the data. Because information, by definition, is always information. So we had then to move into the knowledge economy, which was the last transition that we have faced. Now, information was democratized, but the powers that had knowledge weaponized this resource. And we have been facing two big dilemmas. Those who have knowledge don't have power, and those who have power don't have knowledge. In some cases, people with knowledge have power, but they are doing whatever they can to ensure that neither power nor knowledge is shared with others. The result is for everyone to see. Not a single global problem has been resolved, and new ones keep surfacing all the time. Now, one of the important themes of the book is that each transition is a defining moment in human history. When history ceases to have any impact on how the future will unfold, we are on track to move to a new era of wisdom economy. And it's upon us now to choose the type of future we want. One can ask what lessons people can draw from history. The tragedy is that humans never learn from history. In spite of overwhelming risks in pursuing historical precedents, leaders still cherry-pick from our past and keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So I think it's up to us now to create a new set of leadership who can leave admirable legacy and not just short-term enjoyers of power.
So you talked about the wisdom economy. So in your views, what are our leaders in society falling short of adopting these principles of economy, and how could embracing these ideas lead to benefit to our communities and the nation?
Well, a short answer would be to your very pertinent question that many leaders don't think it's necessary to be wise. Many believe even knowledge is not required to be a leader. You only need money. In such a scenario, every decision a leader makes is determined by whether it will increase his or her wealth and power. Now, because the entire human race also has the same resources of social media which the rulers think they have. And I foresee a situation which is being motivated and channelized by youth, women, consumers, and millions of knowledgeable individuals who are bringing about a change and demanding a new way on how they should be governed. Now, people often ask, what's wrong with knowledge? Why are you talking about wisdom? What is the difference? Now, an old proverb explains it very well. Knowledge without wisdom is like water in the sand. Devoid of wisdom, knowledge seeps through grains of sand and no trace is left. Knowledge has no space for ethics. Wisdom is anchored on non-negotiable ethics. Knowledge doesn't seek wisdom, but wisdom by nature is always seeking relevant knowledge so that one can function as a responsible leader. The purpose of wisdom is not to pursue perfection or idealism. It is to be good and great by discovering the inherent goodness and wisdom that is already within us. And when we can access that, we can start listening to our conscience. Everything that we do, there's an answer from the conscience. Of course, the voice of conscience is feeble. It can be squashed, but it is unmistakably clear. And those who listen to the conscience are wise people, and only those will be able to stay in power and leave a strong legacy. The time for unwise to lead is over.
You highlighted the various leadership mindsets as well, and which was my favorite topic in the book. So, just to tell about our readers, our viewers, so what are these different types, and can you share some examples of the leader who embody these mindsets, and how these leaders influence their organizations or countries through their unique approaches?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I'm sure many people would be interested. Our species, the human race, was given a new name about 1750, Homo sapiens. Homo means human being, and sapien means wise. So that's we are supposed to be, because unlike other species, man is just not a form in the landscape. He pervades the landscape, he shapes the landscape. He doesn't look for a home, he makes his home wherever he goes. His power of observation, inventiveness, imagination, perseverance make it possible for him not to accept the world as it is, but to change it. Now, these 4 types of leadership mindset have been mentioned by my guru, Swami Chinmayanandji. And I learned a lot from him at his feet. And he said that, look, there are some types of leaders who have stone-like characteristics, no consciousness, and they can only exercise ruthless brute power. No discrimination is possible. For example, Pol Pot of Cambodia or Idi Amin of Uganda, one could say they were stone-like leaders. Then we have plant-like leaders, a little more evolved than stone, but limited self-centered consciousness, lethargic exercise of power, very limited ability to distinguish between good or bad. Kim Jong of North Korea or Rafael Trujillo of Dominican Republic would come in this category. Animal-like leaders, more aware but no intellect, egocentric, greedy, never satisfied, aggressive, always wanting to show their power. The best example of this is Adolf Hitler. Many people try and emulate him also, surprisingly, but so as the word goes. Then we have humane leaders, fully developed consciousness, balanced, holistic exercise of power, fully developed intellect. The purpose of life is not to have excessive of anything, just enough to live. Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela are known leaders. But I must make this point that masses in any period of history, it is always more virtuous than the rulers. And there are millions of ordinary citizens who are humane leaders. They may lead their family, they may lead their shop or small enterprise. They are honest, they are humane. But that is, again, another tragedy. The people in any period in history are always more virtuous than those who rule. And it has continued so far because of the silence of the majority and not the tyranny of the few. That is changing now. There are no glass houses anymore. Everything is now out in the open. Nobody can hide anything. So we are going to see an era where we will have a lot of turnarounds taking place. Because I think the journey to reach a safe new world for humanity has already started. I have no doubt about
it. Another thing which is the more technology, we can say that it is persuading our life today in a long run. So where do you think this trend is leading to us? And the both positively and the negatively, how is this going to impact our lives in future? How should we as an individual and leaders adopt these technologies landscape to ensure it serves humanity well? Because there are lots of concerns raised by the various leader of the countries too.
Yes, you are absolutely right in this observation, and I think we have to take cognizance of this. To give a little quick background, we have been through 4 industrial revolutions. The first one was around 1770, steam engine, water power, and mechanization. The second industrial revolution was electricity and mass production. The third one was anchored by electronics, IT systems, and automation. Fourth industrial revolution took flight with artificial intelligence, robotics, and convergence of digital and biotech innovations. Since then, there have been concerns that the development of artificial intelligence may have a dehumanizing impact on society. So far, every technological improvement has increased GDP and prosperity. Now, artificial intelligence will lead to boosting productivity, but not necessarily GDP. It will create new products, but we'll have declining wages. A very good study by David and Mellon, I like to quote it. They fear that we may see emergence of what we call millions of ZEVs, people of zero economic value to employers. And even if they want to work free, nobody will hire them. We are now on the cusp of the 5th industrial revolution, which is accelerated AI revolution, infused with computing and quantum computing and much faster speeds and ability of one AI to interact with another AI resource. Now, so far, we always told anything in technology what we want from technology. AI is different. You can tell AI program, we want to get there, and AI will take you there without asking you how to get there. So you lose control, and it could go astray. And the programmers who make this program cannot build ethics into it. They cannot build compassion into it. They can't build humanity into it. But I believe that technology is morally neutral. Whether we steer it to serve society and foster inclusive growth, or we let it go helter-skelter, depends on us, the leaders of business and society. If we take the wrong call, we'll all perish. But with wisdom, we can certainly make technology a servant, not a master.
We have talked a lot about the leadership. So, as per your opinion, what comes if we talk about the responsible leadership? Who comes closest to embodying responsible leadership in today's world? Is it realistic to find leaders who can ensure equitable and enduring growth for everyone? What qualities should we be looking in such leaders?
Oh, I love this question. You'll be surprised that we find more responsible leaders at middle and senior leadership positions in business and politics. But at the top level, the numbers keep dwindling. The deficit of responsible leadership is most prominent at the highest level, where the propensity to earn money and make money is at the highest. You know, we all live under the same sky.
True.
But each of us has a different view of the horizon. Now, More important, what is the lens through which we take this view? I'm not talking of whether it's a Western lens or an Oriental viewpoint, or whether it's an elitist view or a bottom of pyramid perspective. My concern is, and the vital point is, if the view being taken from the standpoint of one who is seeking personal gain, or whether it's a holistic view aimed at addressing concerns of the entire society. Many of the leaders who have led us have been unable to align themselves with what society expects. They promised, but barely delivered. Today, as the new global charter of people rights is being expressed by more and more young people and more women and consumers, the change is already beginning to take place. And those who can change will have what I call the early bird advantage. It's not for philanthropy that it is required. I keep repeating in my book, I am addressing it to the leaders. It's in their self-interest to do so. If they can do so, they remain in leadership longer, and they can leave a good legacy.
True. So true, sir. So let's shift to the peopleism from here. What advantages do you foresee if our leaders transition from a capitalism-focused mindset to one centered on people? How could this shift impact society at large?
You know, while capitalism was the dominant economic architecture system in the 20th century, peopleism will be the dominant economic structure in the 21st century. It's a new governance system. It's based on the premise that the primacy of profit must make way for the predominance of people and nature. This is the only way to create an unfracturable true democracy, which can't ever be broken, rooted in equity, sustainability, transparency, and justice. These are the four pillars: equity, sustainability, transparency, and justice. Now, I have got 10 tenets of peopleism which are very clearly defined. I'll quickly explain them in 2 words each. Peopleism restores citizenship to every citizen of the country equally by ensuring equality before the law and equity in opportunity. Peopleism demarcates the limits within which a government can function within the discipline of the Constitution. It denounces majoritarianism. You can't say this suits majority, so I'm going to do it. No. It's birthright of every citizen to have the same rights. You can't get away from this anymore. All experiments which have tried in history have failed. The good governance in a society comes not by acquisition of authority by a few, but the acquisition of the capacity by all to resist authority when it is abused. So protest should be normal. We must also have a permanent constituent assembly in every nation. Men of caliber and unimpeachable integrity who will always raise, they can't do any job. Nobody in the family can be in any position of profit. They are full-time devoted to this, and they can't take any job after this. So these are the people whose only job is to be the watchmasters, the cardinals of the sanctity of the Constitution. Peopleism will create a fortune for the bottom of the pyramid. There was a book called Fortune at the Bottom, but that was for the rich. They could sell to them. I'm saying we must create fortune for the bottom of the pyramid, less on focus less on wealth accumulation and more on an equitable, sustainable world. Peopleism has a relentless focus on gender equality, fair and unbiased media, freedom to civil society to speak, and challenging established unfair laws and conventions, and zero tolerance for individual or institutional corruption. And
we keep hearing these days the yes,
yes,
sir.
Yes,
Please
sir.
continue, sir.
No, I said it's a balance between short term and long term. But finally, it believes in the universality of human values in all religions. You know, this whole concept of peopleism is derived from Rabindranath Tagore's verse in Gitanjali. You must have heard of it, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Have you heard of that poem?
Yes, sir.
People have forgotten. I think we need to remind them. I have written a chapter on this book, on this verse, and what it means, what type of vision we want in a nation. Every citizen, every leader has to read this, where the mind is led forward into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom. We need to be awakened. That is peopleism.
So we have heard about demographic dividend a lot these days. We keep hearing in one or another speeches of the political leaders. So what do you think, what you believe in today's world, every individual truly matters to their leaders? How can we ensure that the leader recognizes the value of each and every person in their decision making?
You know, for every human enterprise, you need three essential things: capital, people, and nature. So far, capital has got predominance, and people and nature are considered commodities. And all the problems stem from this. If you focus on people, people is a summation of individuals, then obviously the emphasis will be on demographic dividend and using the skills of the people. We never ask people what they want, have we? We want a social welfare, we decide what they want. And we celebrate when the poverty index goes up by 1%. We never ask them, are they there or not there? So I think once you are in the stream of peopleism, it will naturally come. It can't stay away at that time.
So, sir, what advice do you give to the leaders as we are going to wrap up this discussion? What's your take on if someone is, whether a leader is leading the country or a corporation or a small family, what mindset shift and the action should they consider to foster positive changes and to build more inclusive futures?
Well, you know, I have come to the conclusion in my lifelong experience that nobody likes to be advised on what they should do.
Exactly.
My book is based on raising a few questions and then ask the leaders to do what they consider is good for them. And don't do because I say so. Do only if you have gone home after reading the book with a steadfast conviction. Today you are asking me, and I want to ask this question: do you want to be only wealthy, or do you want to be wealthy and happy?
Wealthy and happy.
Fine. Now, nothing in this world can ever stop you from being happy. If you are unhappy, it's by your choice. One thing is certain: if your quest for wealth is unlimited and you are willing to pursue any means to acquire it, fair or foul, you can never be happy. A very simple saying explains this. If you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. If you want happiness for a day, go and play golf or soccer or go for fishing, whatever you like. If you want happiness for a year, inherit a fortune. But if you want a lifetime of happiness, then you make others happy. gradually one begins to realize that being happy by making others happy is also the greatest service you can render yourself as well as the world. This attitude becomes a leader's DNA, provided he acquires these three precepts of wisdom leadership, which is basically the ABC of the wisdom economy. And those three traits are awareness of your strengths within so that you can be at your best, awareness of how others perceive your actions so that you have no ill will in the world, awareness of the potential of technology. Second is bridge building. In organizations, success is only possible if you keep building bridges of connectedness all the time. There's more that unites the world than what divides the world. And finally, compassion. ABC, awareness, bridge building, and compassion. Compassion is the natural wisdom of the heart. And compassion is what connects you with others with love and help, and happiness is what they get. So I think the leaders are discovering that the happiest, the wealthiest are the most unhappy people. So what is the amount of wealth you need to be happy? And that's what peopleism will lead us to.
Professor, thank you so much for taking out time for ETV Bharat. It was nice listening to you, and I wish you and your book a lot of success.
Well, it has been a pleasure speaking with you, and you have asked wonderful questions, and I am delighted. I hope your listeners will enjoy them. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Happy Diwali.
Thank you so much, sir. Happy Diwali to you and your entire family.
Goodbye. Bye.